Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone was able to have a great weekend, rest up, enjoy some time with the family, get ready for the week ahead, all that fun stuff. Plenty of things going on this week, but today was definitely not one of them. Today was a little bit slower. Overall, before we jump into the charts and take a look at everything that's going on, make sure to swing it over to slingshotfutures.com, scroll down and click on the Join the Daily Outlook newsletter. From there, you're going to be able to register for our daily newsletter list. That way it'll be emailed to you every time one of these videos comes out. And along with that, in the email itself, we talk about a bunch of stuff that we just don't have time to talk about in the live stream. And that's going to be everything from stocks, crypto, options, you name it. If it's moving, it'll show up in that newsletter. So make sure to get a hold of that if you haven't already joined. Along with that, click on the live trading subscription and trial info where you can sign up for a free 3-day trial in the room, hang out with us for a couple days, see what we're all about, see how we approach the market, see how we trade, ask a couple questions, hang out with us, and have some fun. So make sure to sign up for that if you haven't done so already. Looking at the news for tomorrow, relatively calm out of the U.S. tomorrow at 3:15 in the morning. I don't know where that came from, but we have Fed Chair Powell speaking. I have no idea why it's at 3:15 in the morning. It seems a little bit odd, but 10 o'clock tomorrow we have the JOLTS job openings for March forecasted at 6.020 million, and that's really it. We don't have any other news announcements or anything else going on. There's not much else to really keep the markets going crazy. So, as it stands right now, tomorrow probably going to be a little bit calmer, but you know, given the fact that nothing really, well, I won't say nothing happened today, but it definitely started out slow. A lot of traders may be looking to get an early in, early out kind of scenario going into tomorrow's trading, kind of, you know, trying to make up for what the or what didn't happen today more than anything else. Looking at the charts, the euro is driving lower, still in the driver's seat for the sellers and continuing down. Lots of bear pressure that keeps pushing the market lower, and it keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. And every time there's an attempted correction, it fails and it goes back down again. We've seen that over and over again. But the one thing that does definitely stand out here is simply the fact that we are getting a little bit weak. This channel was holding really nicely through here, and now we're getting into a situation where they're missing more. We're not seeing the sellers follow through the lows anymore, and that is a little bit of a concern because it creates a situation where now we can't be aggressive anymore. And we've been talking about letting off the gas pedal a little bit on the euro for a while now, but this is further confirming that. So now that we know that the gas pedal is definitely off the table, we're looking for different approaches and trying to sell at as good of prices as possible. So looking for bounces, right? Selling above retests of resistance, breaking down through support, selling it as a retest. Selling, you know, the highs of the channel, well, maybe not so much anymore with the misses at the bottom, but selling breakouts of swings. Those kinds of things are now what we have to kind of ease off into when it comes to the euro. New resistance at 1.20015. Of course, we can't forget that big round number, that whole number 1.2, definitely going to have an impact on the market's movement. It already has been. That's where all of this kind of chop and sop has been setting in. And I definitely don't think that that whole number is coincidentally here where the markets are going sideways and choppy. So it does make sense into you know, the price action that we're seeing, but overall, you know, good bearish momentum to the downside. Everything is looking really good. We just need to be a little bit more relaxed on the aggressive side of things, waiting for bounces back into resistance, new level of resistance at that 15 area. Selling into that, you know, selling a retest of the earlier wedge or channel bottoms. Those could be nice areas of interest as well. But for right now, off the gas pedal, not looking to sell this far down, looking for a corrective phase to sell into instead. So right now, just kind of sitting on hands on the euro. Need a little bit more info. Over on gold, not really following along with the euro anymore. The gold correlation with the euro and gold kind of moving together really nicely. It's kind of broken down a little bit. We're not seeing those, you know, strong sellers like we're seeing in the euro really, you know, pummeling the market down. Gold is now in a situation where this actually is starting to look somewhat of a little channel. Could be a bear flag for a breakdown. But either way, rising support is definitely there, so we need to be paying attention to it coming through the market there because it is not allowing price to fall. Once we can break that, might get a little bit easier. Support and resistance floating around 13.6, just kind of back and forth in that area. Aside from that, though, there's not really much else going on. We've got a level of resistance above us, a new one at 18.1, and an existing one at 18.7, which has held nicely from before. all stacking up in the same place. Kind of the same situation as on the euro. I don't necessarily want to be too aggressive because, well, frankly, we don't have a reason to be. The sellers just aren't showing up to the party anymore, like the same situation as the euro. So we need to be looking to sell at better prices, and that means pops up, right? Selling new highs, selling retests of previous support, now resistance. Those kinds of things are more what we're looking for. So given the overall movement that we have going on right now, we are trying to break underneath 13.6 and get the move going. If that begins to fail back up again, really nothing until we start getting up into the 18 to 19 area for more selling opportunities. Could even be a possibility of a 3-push wedge top up here if it does want to pop. Either way, sellers are definitely on the really the go-to side. We just need to wait for better prices here as well. Or an alternative, if if we want to maintain our aggression, is a breakdown below support and then use it as resistance instead. That could be a nice alternative if it does want to break down a little more aggressively. Looking good there. Pop over to crude oil. Crude oil, man alive. We were talking about all of this weakness on the lows. Just wasn't breaking down, couldn't break down over and over and over again. Every time the sellers tried to pile drive through that 67.30s down to 67, they just could not get the job done. And I think that was the big clue for this blow off on the highs. Now, we have blown off through the highs of the range top. That was at 69.12, and you notice we have this red box on here. We drew that up this morning in the live trade room, and that is a deviation of the range. That means that we measured the range and deviated higher for an equal size range offset to the top, and that's going to be at 71.03 to 05 in that area. So not only is 71.03 the range deviation high, but 71.05 is a 4-hour level of resistance from before, and we got to go back a little ways to find where this came from. Let's go back. Oh, there we go. That level of resistance coming all the way back from 2015. That is July 16, 2015 as a level of resistance. So that is an old level. We'll have to wait and see if that wants to hold. But along with that, we also have a range deviation. Lots of stuff. Sorry about that. I think I muted the microphone in time. I didn't want to sneeze in anybody's ear there. Overall, I think the big thing with crude oil is that the buyers are still showing some really heavy emphasis. And even though I do think that this is way overdone, and that, in the coming months, crude oil should, I don't want to say collapse, but should be falling pretty aggressively, they're not ready yet. Every time the sellers had a shot, they failed, and now the buyers have taken back over again. So for right now, even though we are really lofty, I don't really want to look to sell until around 71.03 into that whole number at 71, of course. So this whole zone where we're at right now, this is a very strong leg up. It will probably be followed up with another push into the highs, and that push is what I'm looking for up into that 71.03. That does mean that short term, there are possible buying opportunities on pullbacks as well to complete that objective to the upside. One way or another, though, relatively weak, and I don't really want to push our luck too much by buying after this aggressive blow-off, especially considering the fact that, to me, this looks like it's way overextended and should be pulling back. If you are going to be taking longs, in my opinion, it would be more of a scalp rather than a longer-term hold. But we'll have to wait and see. You never know. The markets can do whatever they want to do, and it doesn't matter what I want them to do. So looking at crude oil as a level of resistance at 71.03, if that continues to break out, this could simply just be a significantly more aggressive bull channel to the upside. Everything's still looking good, though. The big round number 70 floating around in the middle. 71.03 is the next level of resistance. If it does start pushing back a little bit further, 69.12 is the support area from before on those range highs. And then we have the S&P, the sleeper market today. The S&P was just brutally slow. Overall, we had a lot of back and forth, good amount of support coming off of a new level at 26.5, and seeing good bullish momentum breaking through 57.75, and now pushing up towards the top of the wedge, which is actually testing right now, as well as 4-hour support, well, actually in this case resistance, chopping across the high there. So we have resistance at 81.25 and 82.75 above us, and of course we are sitting on top of the wedge. There's a lot of stuff up here. Buyers who bought down here at that major support bounce, they're going to be looking for areas to take profit, and what better place, aside from all of this down here, what better place at the top of the wedge at resistance? Lots of reasoning to believe that sellers will be looking to take some profit up here, causing at least a stall, so that in the event of a bull scenario, which is what we are in right now, it's more likely to be sideways to up rather than just straight up like we saw on Friday. So that's kind of the situation that we're looking at on the S&P. Still looking to buy dips, but overall I still can't shake that overall bear move that I would like to see below 2,500. That said, the support at 2,593 was no joke, and I certainly don't want to fight against that. At the moment, we are bullish. We are in a bull spiking channel. Everything is looking really strong to the upside. Now it's just a matter of seeing if they can kind of follow through and keep that going up through resistance, or if they're going to get stuck here and have a little bit of trouble. Either way, right now the buyers are in control, so not too pumped about selling, outside of the fact that I do think longer term this is still bearish. It doesn't look like it's ready to coil over quite yet. And then, of course, the bonds, which have done pretty much nothing today. We did have that cycle blow off to the highs. Beautiful hold on those highs to the tick, and then turn back down lower again. Lots of bearishness coming into the market, but for the most part, no bear follow-through. The only bearishness that's coming in that's really holding the market down is when we're seeing that pop up into resistance and then immediately fades back. And then there's no follow-through. There's no more sellers. They all just kind of disappear. Now, that could just mean that sellers are still holding. There's a large short float, if you will. A lot of sellers who are still in, still waiting, for something to happen. They just haven't exited yet. Or it could just be that the sellers are jumping in and exiting down here while more sellers are trying to continue the move, and we end up with just kind of this back and forth range without a whole lot going on. Does seem to be kind of the situation at the moment, but of course we'll have to wait and see. Overall, the back and forth movement that we have right now is on top of support. If we can start breaking through that, there's a good shot at going to the next level below that. Looking pretty good. So we will be wrapping this one up a little bit earlier. I've got a couple things I need to take care of around the house. But, aside from that, feel free to type in a couple markets if you want me to take a look at them. We'll take a look at our favorites, of course, and go from there. So one of our favorites being, if we go over to zoom out a little bit more here, let's take a look at Twitter. Twitter on the daily is definitely one that we've been paying attention to for quite a while. Ooh, let's do that. There we go. And one thing that we've been talking about a lot with Twitter is that we've been not seeing the follow-through. We have that beautiful bullish momentum, good bullishness trying to get through, and then by the time they get a really nice-looking bull bar, nothing happens. It all just kind of falls apart on itself. And we can see that over here. We've had that over and over and over again. Beautiful bull bar, nothing, 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 nothing. But they are all still bull bars. I mean, they are still holding in that kind of scenario, but where's the follow-through? We seemingly have been waiting for a really long time, or we're just not getting that push. So, as it stands right now on Twitter, I'm still long biased, but right now I think we just need to wait to buy pullbacks unless you're, if you're already in, then we're just kind of waiting. But, for me, I'm looking to maybe add on pullbacks, but that's really about it. We need more info from Twitter. They're just not giving it to us yet. Not to say that they won't, but where's the follow-through? Over on MasterCard, we did have that gap up into primary target areas, pushing into 100 next and breaking higher, 100, pushing into 190 next right around the corner, looking really good for that follow-through. MasterCard was just a perfect move. Let's see, what were some other ones that we've been talking about? Tesla's been having a little bit of movement today. TSLA, let's try that again. Breaking back up, but not really getting a whole lot of, continuation. We're still stuck inside that same area between 280s and 305, having a hard time getting out of there. Not much there. Let's see. Yeah, there really isn't much else. All the markets are relatively calm and quiet. Boeing was one that we've been talking about, wanting to see some follow-through. We are getting that good follow-through. Major objective is going to be pushing up towards 355s, back above 350 in that area. Arguably, there is some resistance floating around 353 if you want to play it a little more conservatively, but everything is still looking good for the upside. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take for them to keep this move going. Let's see. There was one other one, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't ExxonMobil. I have to look at some of the old posts. I don't remember. Either way, though, I mean, pretty much everything we've been talking about has had some really good movement. Especially Boeing, MasterCard, those are perfect examples of seeing some good follow-through, finally. Facebook seeing a little bit of movement up as well. I mean, we were talking about Visa and MasterCard together. Visa's pushing into 130, so it's also got a big round number. Everything is still looking pretty good. So, the spiders have been a little bit slow, choppy, sloppy today, but there are some stocks that are still catching some movement. You just got to be patient and wait for them, find them, and then go from there. But not seeing anything getting typed in, so that's going to do it for this one. Like I said, normally we don't cut them this short, but I do have a couple things I need to take care of. So aside from that, if I miss any of your questions, make sure to send those to me in email form. I'll be able to cover those for you. Underneath the video, click on the subscribe button and the notification bell icon to the right of that, so you'll be notified every time we go live. You don't miss it. We go live Monday through Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and we talk about our favorite markets and our game plans going into tomorrow's trading. So that's going to do it for this one. Like we always say, doesn't matter what market you're trading, always make a plan, trade the plan, follow those rules, and it'll be a-okay. Until next time, we will see you all then. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.